Think of a place that shaped you, a lake where you learned to swim, a hill where you watched sunsets fade into gold, a street where every corner feels like a heartbeat from your childhood. Now imagine something deeper. Imagine that place is woven into your language, your family's stories, your traditions, and your identity, stretching back farther than memory, farther than written history, farther even than myth itself. That is what place means to many Native American nations. It's not a location. It's a relative. When Native people speak of home, they're not talking about a city on a map. They're talking about an entire world, alive, breathing, communicating, one they've been in a relationship with for thousands upon thousands of years. For some nations, like the Yuki of what's now California, that bond has never been broken. They have lived in their homeland since times so ancient they are described simply as since time immemorial. For others, like the Cherokee, the connection survives even after forced removal. Their homeland still lives inside them, even though the United States government drove them from it during the 19th century, marching them to present-day Oklahoma. The land remains in their language, their prayers, and the stories they pass down. Because for Native nations, the land is not something you own. The land owns itself, and you belong to it. The land as a living being. Native worldviews across the continent share one idea: the world is alive. Yes, there are trees and rocks, but there is also water that remembers, sky that protects, seasons that teach, and animals that speak in their own ways. These aren't metaphors. They're relationships. The Potawatomi people call the land Emingoyak, that which has been given to us. A reminder that sunlight, water, berries, shelter, medicine, everything life requires comes as a gift. Not a product, not a commodity. A gift. Potawatomi botanist Robin Wall Kimmerer once said, "The land is identity, the connection to our ancestors, our library, our pharmacy, our home of non-human kinfolk. It belongs to itself. It was a gift, never a commodity." That line echoes through generations. Returning a gift with care. For many nations, caring for the land is part of an ancient agreement. Take the Coast Salish peoples along the present-day Washington coast. Every June, salmon leave the ocean and return to the rivers. To the Salish, this isn't just migration, it's a sacred promise. The salmon offer themselves as food, and the people must care for the salmon in return by cleansing the rivers, honoring the first salmon caught, and returning its bones to the water. Each year, the first salmon ceremony renews that relationship through song, dance, and prayer. Or look at the basket weavers of California. Their baskets aren't just tools, they are stories made from the land itself. Grasses, roots, twigs, ferns. Every thread becomes a memory. Every design becomes a map of where they come from. The land speaks. Many native languages are shaped directly by the land. In Lushootseed, spoken around the Puget Sound, K symbol 313 a glottal stop, K symbol 313 a glottal stop, means crow. Stul Shwakw means river, echoing the sound of flowing water. Means saltwater, evoking waves on the shore. The language sounds like the land itself. The Ojibwe word for March, Anabani Giazis, refers to the hard crust on the snow moon, not a numerical month, but a description of what the land is doing. For the Haudenosaunee, even counting from 1 to 10 tells the story of creation, starting with Sky Woman, whose descent began the world. In many native languages, to speak is to remember the land. Since time immemorial, these ties go back further than most people can imagine. Not decades, not centuries, but tens of thousands of years. In 2023, scientists confirmed human footprints in what's now New Mexico to be around 23,000 years old, older than the pyramids, older than agriculture, older than nearly any known civilization. Long before Europeans arrived, the continent was alive with villages and towns, farms and orchards, nations and confederations, trade routes stretching thousands of miles, vast knowledge of hunting, fishing, astronomy, medicine, and engineering. The Hopewell earthworks of Ohio, built over 1,600 years ago, aligned with celestial movements and were filled with materials brought from all across North America, obsidian from Idaho, seashells from the Gulf, even fossilized megalodon teeth. This was no untouched wilderness. It was a lived-in, loved, managed, and mastered homeland. Native environmental engineering. Indigenous nations shaped the land with precision. The Zuni of New Mexico invented water-capturing grids to farm in near-desert conditions. The Hidatsa of North Dakota farmed fertile riverfronts, then migrated seasonally as floods nourished the soil. Tribal nations across the continent used controlled burns to encourage certain plants and prevent catastrophic wildfires. Native knowledge didn't just exist, it shaped ecosystems. Some scholars argue that many North American landscapes look the way they did because native people tended them, the same way a gardener tends a living garden. Colonization and severance. But then came colonization. New diseases tore through communities. New animals, like rats, devastated local ecosystems. And the hunger for land led to forced removals, broken treaties, reservations, and allotments designed to break tribal unity. Land which had been sacred for thousands of years was suddenly treated like a commodity, bought, sold, carved up, divided. Many native peoples were torn away from the land that had shaped their identity itself. Sacred places were destroyed, polluted, or fenced off. And yet, the story does not end there. A RTURNG song. Across the continent, native nations are reclaiming their homelands and healing them. In New York, the Onondaga Nation recently regained stewardship over 1,000 acres of forest, including the waters flowing into their sacred lake, Onondaga Lake. In the Midwest, lands taken from the Backsage Iowa tribe have been returned and transformed into a tribal national park, protecting prairies, rivers, trails, and stories. From Montana to Virginia, restored lands are bringing back bison, eagles, herring, trumpeter swans, entire ecosystems. Land that was once sick is breathing again. Because when native nations steward the land, they're not just protecting nature. They're restoring a relationship. The land RMBRS. To many native people, land is home, identity, responsibility, medicine, memory, and the future. The land remembers them, and they remember the land. Iowa Tribal Vice Chairman Lance Foster once said, "We've been here for 1,000 years. We can never move away. This is our land forever." And as native stewardship returns, so does a truth that predates every border, every map, and every nation-state. The land is alive, and we are part of it.